One percenters, welcome back. Coach Tom here today to talk to you about the difference between Giannis, Greek Freak, and Kevin Durant. They just played yesterday, the Nets versus the Bucks, and the Nets pulled it out in the end. But as I'm watching this, the highlights of the game, Giannis sucks. He has like very, very little skills. He's the MVP of the league back to back, purely off of his physical dominance. He got booted from the playoffs basically because he can't shoot. And over the years, you can see him physically transforming his body. He's definitely been hitting the weight room and he's bulked up quite a bit. But the problem with Giannis is that he takes that same mentality of I'm going to outwork everybody and I'm just going to work harder. He's what I would call a grinder, a defender, but he's definitely not a playmaker. He's definitely not a scorer. He's definitely not a slasher. He's definitely not a shooter. So the 5 roles that I kind of assign players: defender, shooter or sniper, playmaker, scorer, and slasher. Giannis is mainly a defender, and then secondary, he is a slasher. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, is number 1 a scorer and number 2 a shooter, and then number 3 a playmaker. When I take on players to develop players, I think about it in a triangle, and the 3 points of that triangle is mind, body, craft. Mind, body, craft. Craft, the technical skills, all that good stuff. The mental part of the game, reading screens, understanding defenses, understanding offensive strategy, defensive strategy, time, clock, situation, personnel, all that good stuff. And then you have body. Are you physically going to get faster, stronger? What are you going to do to transform your body to become more athletic? Now, over the course of a career, you've seen Kevin Durant, his body doesn't look that much different from when he entered the NBA. He has pretty much let his body do its thing. Like no real off-season workout, it looks like. I can't say that for sure, but his body hasn't changed much other than it's starting to wear down a little bit because of the Achilles injury. Like that's a sign of poor movement and repetitive and just over and over poor movement, repetition of poor movement. So Kevin Durant, his body's only getting worse because he's not the type, unless he drastically changes, to get into the gym to rehab and do exercises that will make him stronger, faster, preventative. And it's probably because he spends all his time studying the game and practicing. He's like the most technically sound basketball player. He has mid-range, post-up, long-range, dribble, hesitations, change of pace, all that stuff. He's basically like the best offensive player ever. Giannis, on the other hand, he spends all his off time probably lifting weights and being sore and bulking up. It's gonna get him minimal effectiveness, minimal returns moving forward in his NBA career because basically right now he's in peak physical condition. He needs to get into the gym to work on his craft, and whoever's training him, whoever's leading him, whoever's doing all that stuff, his skill level is so rigid, so robotic. He reminds me of Dwight Howard, who everybody had high praise of. He came in kind of scrawny, bulked up, transformed his body, looked real great, was real dominating for a little while. And then he just fell off the face of the earth when people realized that all he could do is just one little jump hook and jump and dunk. Giannis is Dwight Howard 2.0 with a little bit more dribbling skills. Giannis can't shoot. He can't do anything other than take giant steps and Euro step past people. That's not even hating on Giannis. That's how good he is. He could still average like 30 points and just dunk. But what does this mean to you guys? Like, you have to really understand where you are, like what type of player you are based on your physical prowess and then your mental prowess. Like what kind of personality DNA do you have on your game? Are you a scorer? Are you a playmaker? Are you a shooter? Are you a slasher? Or are you a defender? they all have different personality styles, and if you try to be something that you're not, it's going to be like force feeding yourself, or that putting a round thing into a square peg. Kevin Durant, he needed somebody like Russell Westbrook to show him more passion, more heart. Kevin Durant doesn't have like the biggest heart. He needed somebody like Steph Curry to show him that joy. Steph Curry plays with a ton of passion, a ton of joy. He just needed that to round out his personality. Giannis needs like shooters and playmakers around him, so Giannis can just be like the best defender and slasher in the league. He's trying to be the playmaker. He's trying to be the number one scorer. That's just not his role. Draymond Green is kind of a good example of that. He's a great defender and defender and a playmaker. But you take him and you throw him in a scoring situation or force him to shoot or score, he's not going to succeed in that. And coaches a lot of time will try to force feed players into roles, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So as a player, you guys got to figure out what type of style you are, what type of personality you are, and how you want to develop from there. Do you need to work on your mental game? Do you need to work on your physical game? Or do you actually need to work on your skill game? Okay, think about that. Anytime you guys are attacking your practices or your trainings, mind, body, craft at all times, mind, body, craft. And remember, when it comes to the actual skill part, shooting is the most important. Remember to focus on accuracy. If we're talking about body, remember to focus on movement. And if we are talking about the mental aspects of the game, think about strategy. Okay, so strategy, movement, and shooting. It's pretty simple. Everything else is just a distraction. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Remember to take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better.